What's going on? VitalSyntax here, and I want to talk about the Steam box because there's been a lot of new information that's come out about it at CES, and there's some confusion, some new rumors, and I just wanted to clear a couple things up for people that are a little bit confused about what exactly the Steam box is. Is it out? When is it coming out? How is it coming out? Is it being developed by Steam? There's a bunch of questions, so let's go ahead and jump into it. So the first thing I want to address is the confusion with a company called XI3. So XI3 is showing a prototype for a Steam box called Piston, which is not the official Steam box. So the confusion starts to arise because XI3 is developing modular computers, and Valve has invested money into this company, invested in this new technology that has to do with modularity of the motherboard. So what XI3 is doing is they're taking a motherboard and they're actually splitting it into different pieces so you can upgrade those pieces separately. Now, if you think about a gaming PC today, for the most part it's very modular. You can have your graphics card, your CPU, your motherboard, your RAM, your hard drives, they're all separate, and you can upgrade each individual one as you wish. Now, there are some limitations, like if you buy a new motherboard, you might have to upgrade your CPU, or if you buy a new CPU, you might have to upgrade your motherboard, or if you buy a new motherboard that supports a new technology, you might want to upgrade your new PCI lanes with your new graphics cards or things like that. But for the most part, gaming PCs are extremely modular. Now, on the other end of that is things like laptops, things like tablets, things like phones, things like any type of mobile device or smaller device. Those are not necessarily modular. Most laptops that are, I shouldn't say most laptops, but some laptops, probably most tablets, have integrated graphics. They have integrated memory. They have, they actually have the RAM soldered onto the motherboard, and they do that to reduce the size footprint and allow for a smaller form factor, which is obviously really important when you're doing something like a tablet. And it's also really important when you're doing something like a home entertainment system, where you don't want to have this huge gaming PC that's super loud and beefy in your living room while you're trying to watch TV. At least most people wouldn't. I really personally wouldn't have a problem with it. But so the confusion that some people are having is they think that the XI3 Piston is the official Steam box, and that's not the case. What Valve is doing is they're setting a spec similar to what Google did with Android, and they're going to release that specification. I don't know if it's already out or not. And then they're also going to allow basically any manufacturer to create their own Steam box. So you might have a Steam box from Dell or from Acer or from Asus, or in this case from XI3. And as long as they meet that specification, as long as they support, the Steam software that's running on Linux, as long as they support probably some type of proprietary controller, as long as they meet these standards, then it's considered a Steam box. So it's similar, like I said, to what Google did with Android. You look and see like the Samsung Galaxy S3. That's not made by Google. Or you look at something like the Nexus 4. Technically, it's not made by Google either. I mean, it's produced by LG. But for sake of argument, the Nexus 4 is like the official Android cell phone. And that's kind of what they're doing with Steam. So there's going to be an official Steam box, and there's going to be third-party Steam boxes that might offer some advantages, might be slightly different, they're going to look different. But for the most part, they're going to meet a specific specification. And I think most of them also have to be modular, so you can upgrade different things, support certain types of I/O and things like that. So what we can expect from Steambox is it's going to be released before the end of the year. I've heard a lot of rumors that they're actually going to be releasing quite a while before Christmas time, which is when the PS4 and the Xbox 720 are rumored to be released. So we might see the release as soon as like the fall time or like late summer. I wouldn't expect anything before that. And then as far as specifications go, there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of variety. There might be lower end models that have 4 gigs of RAM or have 64 gigs of memory, but have a high-end processor, and those might be cheaper than something that has just really high specs all around. But for me, the most interesting part about all this, about these specs and stuff that they're updating, is they're trying to make it more user-friendly. They're trying to move Steam and Valve and mostly Steam, into the living room, and they're doing it in an approach that I think is the best option. Instead of going the same way that Microsoft is going, or the way that Sony's going, with saying this is the PlayStation, you only have one option, go with it or go somewhere else. Where with Steam and with Valve, what they're doing with the Steam boxes, they're saying, hey, manufacturers can compete. They're making a competitive market to allow for a ton of consumer options, which is always the good way to go, always the right step in the right direction. And it works. I mean, just look at Android. It has the same setup, and Android is by far the most popular mobile operating system. And if you actually think about it, Android is actually based off of Linux. And now that Steam is going to be running on Linux, and hopefully a lot of game developers are going to start supporting Linux as well, because they want to release their games on Steam, on these Steam boxes. I think there's going to be a very big change in operating system users over the next couple of years. For me personally, the only reason that I use Windows, right now I'm using Windows 8, is because of games. If it wasn't for gaming, I would either use Mac OS X or Linux. And if I don't have to use Windows because all these other operating systems are going to be supported, then I would easily switch over. And another thing to think about with Linux is based off of Unix, which is the base of the operating system, so is Mac OS X. So I could see the future support for the Mac platform also improving as Steam is kind of pushing people to move to Linux, because I'm sure it's very easy to convert applications and programs and games that run on Linux over to Mac OS X. So that's going to be very interesting to see. I mean, there is support already for Mac OS X with Steam, and there's some games and stuff, but you're not going to get any of the AAA titles. I mean, I guess there's a couple of them. You can play Borderlands 2. And I don't want to start any type of operating system war. Each operating system has its own pros and cons, but personally I think it's awesome that we're going to have the option to use something other than Windows for gaming, and I also think it's awesome that we're going to have more than just one option for the Steam box. So anyway, thanks for watching the video. Hopefully it was a little bit educational. It cleared up some of the misconception about the Steam box and the Piston and the Xi3 company. So we don't have all the information yet. They didn't really release too much at CES. I'm guessing that we'll probably see an announcement about what exactly the specifications are for those specs that third parties have to meet, and also we'll probably see some prototypes of the official Steam box that's going to be released by Valve, although it might be, the hardware might be manufactured by somebody else, because Valve obviously isn't a hardware manufacturer. They're probably going to partner with a couple other companies. So anyway, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.